If you're interested in what I'm about to say, it can all be found in my new book, The Common Sense Ethics of a Blue-Collar Philosopher, by S.G. Applebee, available at Publish America and other online bookstores. Does the term "under God" in the Pledge of Allegiance violate the First Amendment's ban on government respecting an establishment of religion? Well, let's read the First Amendment to find out. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, etc. This sentence can be broken down into two parts, the primary and the secondary. The primary states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. So, if Congress made a law requiring children to attend school, which they did, and if schools promote or require students to say the pledge, which some do, and if the words "under God" are in the pledge, which they are now, then Congress has made a law respecting an establishment of religion. The logic is irrefutable. The secondary part of the statement reads, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. This means the government cannot make laws stopping you from practicing any religion you wish. Put the two parts together and it means the government must remain completely neutral concerning religious beliefs, but each individual can believe whatever they wish. It really is that simple. Contrary to the belief of many religionists, the secondary part of the First Amendment does not negate the primary part of the First Amendment. So in 1954, when the words "under God" were inserted into the pledge, was Congress respecting an establishment of religion? Absolutely. But worse than that, it was respecting an establishment of a certain kind of religion, Judeo-Christian monotheism. Hindus don't believe in a monotheistic God. Buddhists don't believe in a monotheistic God. Taoists don't believe in a monotheistic God. Pagans don't believe in a monotheistic God. Atheists don't believe in a monotheistic God. I would even argue that Christians themselves don't believe in a monotheistic God. The Trinity. And while I'm at it, the people who wrote the first books of the Bible didn't believe in a single monotheistic God either. Please read it for yourself. They believed there were many gods, but they followed just one. Of course, under God respects an establishment of religion. Just look at what President Eisenhower said when it was signed into law during his administration. From this day forward, the millions of our school children will proclaim in every city and town, every village and rural schoolhouse, the dedication of our nation to and our people to the Almighty. He certainly wasn't talking about Bruce Almighty, was he? Of course not. He was talking about the God of the Bible. If that's not respecting an establishment of religion, what is? But it's also easily proven by just asking a couple of simple questions. Would it be all right with Christians or Jews if Congress inserted "under Allah" or "under God's" into the pledge? Of course not. And why not? Because words have meanings. Whether or not anyone wants to admit it, the term God itself implies a certain religious point of view, just like the term Allah implies a Muslim point of view. You simply cannot get around that fact. So when Congress made a law inserting "under God" into the pledge, made "In God We Trust" our nation's motto, and put "In God We Trust" on American currency, it was absolutely respecting an establishment of religion. But worse than that, it wasn't just respecting an establishment of religion, it was establishing it as well. This is what the overwhelming majority of Americans don't seem to understand. The Constitution goes way beyond just telling the government not to establish religion. It tells the government not to even respect an establishment of religion. And that requirement is much more stringent. In fact, that's why the way this debate is even referred to is fundamentally flawed and biased toward favoring the religious. Both sides mistakenly refer to this part of the Bill of Rights as the Establishment Clause, which places the argument in the context of whether or not government can establish religion. But this is a huge mistake by people who want the government to remain completely neutral when it comes to religion. They should refer to it as the Respecting Clause. This would put the argument square on the side of those who want a separation of church and state, because, as I said earlier, the Constitution goes way beyond just telling government not to establish religion. It tells the government not to even respect an establishment of religion. And that requirement is much, much more stringent. Just think about this. When the Founding Fathers got together to write the Bill of Rights, the very first thing they debated was the best way to keep government from taking side in religious affairs. It was that important to them. And they could have easily just wrote, Congress shall make no law establishing religion, and have been done with it. But they didn't. They went much further. They wrote, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. And as I said earlier, that restriction goes way beyond just telling Congress it cannot establish religion. It tells Congress it cannot even respect an establishment of religion. If they weren't so adamant about it, why would they go to that extreme? But obviously, Congress no longer goes to this extreme because it respects and establishes religion all the time by passing laws that respect and establish religion. And by respecting and establishing by law the belief in monotheism as our nation's official type of religion, the United States government is telling atheists, agnostics, Buddhists, Hindus, Taoists, etc., that they are wrong in their beliefs. The United States government has no right, knowledge, or authority to make such a claim or judgment. Last but not least, the pledge was written by a Baptist minister without the words "under God" in it. So what gave anyone, especially the government, the right to change it in order to conform to their own limited, intolerant, dogmatic point of view? As a writer, I would be outraged if someone in the future took it upon themselves to change what I had written to mean or even imply something different. If the minister wanted a reference to God in the Pledge of Allegiance, he would have put it there. After all, he was a minister. If it wasn't good enough as it was written, the government should have looked elsewhere for a religious pledge of indoctrination. Thank you for your time.